and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1987A, and today's date is October 4th, 2019, and the title of the episode is, This is How You Know We Are at the End Stage of a Central Bank System. Transition Prepped. Now, before I get started, let's talk about retirement. Now, if you visit any of the great tourist spots in America, everything looks peachy. But look a little closer, and all is not well. You can't fail to notice an uptick in homeless and street people out there. That's how it started last time. The signs are all there, and this is happening again right now. But just like last time and the time before that, the stock market is way overvalued and wobbling. You need to put precious metal safety net of gold or silver under those savings to protect them. So talk to one of the specialists over at Noble Gold today. Click the link below to get the free gold guide or call 877-646-5347. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we are at the end stage of a central bank system. And we can see throughout time how a central bank system, how it doesn't benefit the people. Just think about it. Go back to 1970, 1971, when they took us off the gold standard. We could start there, and then we can move forward. Yes, they had inflation. Yes, salaries went up. Yes, houses appreciated. Yes, all of this happened, and people felt great. That's how the central bank sucks you in, making you think that their system is incredible. And then you go throughout time, you enter the 80s, where they say, hey, you know something? If you can't make it, why don't you use credit? Why don't you have two people out in the workforce? People say, yes, the women should work, and we should have both working out in the workforce. And of course, they shape it in a certain narrative. And then they introduce credit cards. And people say, this is great. Now we have extra credit. We can purchase things. And of course, the 70s, that disappeared where you were getting the high interest rates on your CDs and all that. And then they started to push up the stock market to make you think, well, that's the gauge of everything. That's where they want you to put your money to make it seem like you're making out. Now, there are certain people that do make out, but there's a lot that don't. And then we head into the 90s and 2000, and everything starts to fall apart. People don't notice it yet. People continue to do what they've been doing. The Fed continually creates bubbles every 7 or 8 years or so. And people go ahead and they take out loans. They take out mortgages. With the cars, you started off with paying cash. Then you went into financing. Then they extended the terms for financing. Then they went ahead and they said financing, well, the cost of the car is way too high. You might have to lease it now. And of course, they started off with 2 years, 3 years. They went to 4 or 5. Then you had to put a down payment on it. And this continued on. And wages, they really didn't move anywhere. This is what we're looking at right now. This is the timeline of a central bank system. Now we're at the end stage. And what do we see at the end stage? Well, wages are pretty flat. They haven't really moved anywhere. Interest rates, where they were once high when we came off the gold standard, they were battling inflation. I mean, we saw interest rates like 17, 18%. Now what are they? Now they're close to zero. Other parts of the world, they're negative. This is the end stage. People have trouble getting good paying jobs. Yes, you can get a job, but I'm talking about a good paying job where you can survive as the system breaks down. And if you notice, and I've been in many different stores, you can now finance everything. Clothes, sneakers, and I'm not talking about credit cards. I'm talking about they'll put you on a payment plan to allow you to acquire these items. That's how you know you're at the end stage. And we know that the patriots, they need to transition the people out of this dying central bank system and into a new one. And it's not just here in the United States. There's many moving parts to all of this. And this is why the biz is putting out a warning, because they know and they can see what is happening. We can see that the Federal Reserve, they are trapped. Trump, the Patriots, they are dictating to the Federal Reserve what they need them to do to keep this entire system operational. And we see out in the UK, we see the move to detach the people from a non-elected group, which is the EU. They had a referendum. And what's very interesting about the UK, it's not just the people in the UK. Once this happens, this is going to happen in many of the other countries. All the other countries are sitting back, waiting to see how this plays out. And if this plays out to the benefit of the UK, the EU is in trouble. And I do believe that Boris Johnson, he is setting them up. Think about what Boris Johnson just did. Boris Johnson proposed a Northern Ireland solution. Do you know this is what the EU originally proposed? It would involve Northern Ireland alone remaining in the EU's single market and a customs union, which would leave Great Britain, England, Scotland, and Wales free to strike trade deals. But the DUP, a Northern Ireland Unionist party that propped up Theresa May's minority Conservative government, objected to this. Boris Johnson revived the idea, somehow getting DUP on board. But now the EU seems united against its own idea. What has Boris Johnson achieved where everyone thought that this could not be done? What did he do? He was able to get a majority. DUP is on board. Rebel Labour MPs on board. Hard Brexiters on board. Most Tories on board. So if Ireland or the EU sink this deal, the most likely consequence is no deal. Polls show that Johnson will clobber Jeremy Corbyn in an election. The question is, does the EU understand this? Yes, I believe they do. The choice will be between Johnson's deal, assuming he can work one out, or no deal. The EU is stuck right now. They're in trouble. Yes, they're trying to get an extension, but guess what? We know that Boris Johnson, all he has to do is say, listen, we don't need an extension. That's all he has to do. And this is the poster child for the rest of the countries to do away with the globalist regime. Now, here in the United States, Trump is keeping the illusion alive. Today, we heard the unemployment numbers, and the rate fell to 3.5%. This is the best since 1969. Trump tweeted out the following: breaking news, unemployment rate at 3.5% drops to a 50-year low. Wow, America, let's impeach your president, even though he did nothing wrong. And remember, we know how these numbers are calculated. Remember, Trump is using it all against the deep state, the central bank, and the mainstream media. They can't say that he's manipulating this stuff because this is exactly what they did in the past. Obama did it, Bush did it, and actually they just recalculated and manipulated a little bit more every single time as we move forward up until Trump. Trump is just using everything that they did. And what is the mainstream media going to do? What is the Fed going to do? What is the deep state going to do? Call him out on it? All he has to do is say, I haven't changed anything. These are the calculations you've been using. This is why they don't attack him on the economy. This is why their only weapon is to say, all the indicators are looking at a recession coming very, very soon. That's all they can say. But as we know, the Fed came out and said, we're not predicting a recession anytime soon. They're not going to go against the Fed, even though we know that Bernanke said this back in 2008 and we had a recession, Trump, the Patriots, they know that this economy, it is teetering on not a recession, a total collapse. I mean, how bad is this central bank system? We discussed it a little bit when we started this report. But think about what has been going on. Think about how the central bank system works. The millennials and those who are coming after them are going to have a very difficult time in this economy. Those individuals that were born in the 50s or the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, they benefited from the beginning stage of this central bank system. Those individuals that are being born in the late 80s, the 90s, 2000, they are not benefiting from this central bank system. And when I say this, I'm not saying every single person, I'm saying the majority. Yes, there's going to be those that know how to work around this system. There's going to be those that know how to work the stock market. Of course, we've only seen the stock market go up since 2008. So they've never seen really a down market. I mean, I remember when I was working in an investment company, all the quant traders that were in there, they were looking at this saying, this is so great, this is fantastic, look how easy this is. And during this period of time, they never saw a down market. When we had a down market, I would say 90% of them had no clue what to do. They lost money left and right, and they were fired. There was only 10% that were able to weather the storm. And again, many of the people have not seen this. All they've seen is an up market. Yes, we've seen some periods of time when the market comes down, but they've never seen a recession, a depression. But let me go back to what I was talking about here. Now, the millennials, they're having a very difficult time making it in this world. Many individuals are having a very difficult time. And this is coming out of the Wall Street Journal. There is a company that is now allowing people to create payment plans to purchase shoes, sweaters, and sneakers. Because a lot of these people, first of all, they have way too much debt, or many of them can't afford it. This is the end stage of a central bank system. And let me just tell you a little story here. The other day I was in a phone store. I was switching my phone plans to get a cheaper phone plan. And I noticed on the wall they had all the gadgets and gadgets, the chargers and all this stuff. And I noticed the prices. They had the price of what it would be if you just paid for it in full. And then they had a slash next to it. And it said how much your monthly charge would be if you wanted to pay it out. Now, I have never seen this before. And now I am seeing it in more and more places. And now we have startup companies that are now offering payment plans to purchase everyday items. This is not like going out and purchasing like a TV, something you really don't need. Where you say, something, I really want that $1,000 TV, but I don't have $1,000. But I can make $50, $75 a month because my credit cards are all filled to the max, so I can't put them on that. This is about purchasing a pair of sneakers. This is about purchasing a sweater. When we get down to the point where we need to put this on payment plans, we're in trouble. Now, Trump and the Patriots, they know this. They know that this system will not last. Think about what we talked about in the beginning of this report when we went through the timeline of a central bank system, where we went from like an automobile, where we went from, you can pay it in cash, because like in the 70s, maybe it was $3,000, $4,000. You had $3,000, $4,000 because you saved it up. Maybe you didn't. To financing, because people didn't have the $3,000, $4,000. To extending the financing and putting down bigger down payments, then moving to leasing, where it was zero down for maybe 2 or 3 years, Then it was leasing with a down payment. Then it was leasing with more of a down payment and extended terms. Think about it. And then start to think about colleges where people used to be able to work and go to college and pay for college. Think about purchasing a home. Think about all of it, how it all completely deteriorated as time went on. We are at the end stage. This is why Trump and the Patriots have been working so hard on the trade deals, on regulations, tax cuts, destroying the globalist system. There's a reason for all of this. And now we're moving into the next phase where Trump is really going to push this. The transition is being prepped, and Trump has still more to do until we can move into this new system. This is why he's keeping the central bank system from imploding. There's a reason for this. So we can transition without having the system collapse. Think about it. If the system collapsed and he tried to transition everyone out of it, it would be a disaster. It would be a lot better if the system stayed afloat and then he transitioned everyone into the new economic system, put us back on sound money. And I do believe this is the plan. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.